What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk Talk Punch. I am Brody Hanson here with Charlie Hickman. Howdy, Charlie. So while you're here, make sure that you click the subscribe button, click the thumbs up button, click the notification button, click all the buttons so that you are notified whenever we post a new episode. And then come back here every Wednesday at noon for a new episode where we talk about something. Normally, we kind of talk about the movies, TV type of media. We ventured off a little bit here and there. We talked about some video games at one point. And so today we're venturing a little more, Charlie. We're talking about tabletop games.
Tabletop games.
Woo. Now, Charlie, how you doing?
Well, Brody, first of all, thank you for asking. Not everybody asks, and not everybody cares. And so I appreciate that. Not only do you ask, but I know that deep in your heart, you are genuinely concerned and feel compassion towards me. I love you, brother. I am very excited. I love tabletop games. Look, Brody is a smart man. You know, if you've watched any of our earlier episodes, you know that this is a man who has great ideas and a big brain. But let me tell you something. As much of an expert as he is in all things comic books, all things superheroes, all things wrestling, all things movies, this man is a tabletop genius, and he will be dropping some serious knowledge today. He will be.
Don't put that on me.
So if you are someone who loves games or is just looking for a new game idea, just get out the notepad, take some notes, get that pause finger ready, because he's going to be just blasting your brain full of knowledge today. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. That's building me up pretty high, Charlie. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Honest and sincere praise, my friend.
Now, I do love tabletop games, board games, card games, stuff like that. When we were coming up with this idea for Talk Talk Punch, one of the ideas that I had was actually a tabletop game channel. I was like, oh, we talk about tabletop. I got all these tabletop games. I got tabletop games to, play them and review them. Do something else, something like that.
But, I'm in for that. You want to? Should we just do that?
Well,
let us know below if we should just switch over to a tabletop only content channel.
We'll see.
Spin-off, Brody. Spin-off.
But with you and I being about 500 miles away, it's a little bit harder to sit down and play a board game. You can only really do so much over Zoom. Tabletop games are harder over Zoom. I've done them with friends when we just went through this, 2020 COVID, and it was kind of like, hey, I got my neighbors across the street. Hey, you guys want to hook up a Zoom meeting and play Pandemic, and really get into the spirit of the pandemic?
A little too early in the pandemic for pandemic.
No, never too early for pandemic.
Never too early. Okay.
It's the perfect game for the pandemic, Charlie. You're trying to save the world from the pandemic.
Gotcha. You put on Outbreak, the movie, play a little Pandemic, just really. All right, get in the spirit.
So who knows? In an alternate timeline, this could have been a tabletop game, board game channel where that would be what we talk about every week. Yeah. I think with right now, you and me being where we are, it's a little bit easier to talk about movies and things like that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
All right, we get to 100 subscribers, and I will move to Sparks, Nevada, and we can start a board game.
100 subscribers.
So 100 subscribers. It's never gonna happen. So it's the safest bet you ever made.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's.
Can we start today off with a little trivia, Brody? Can we flex your board game muscles here a little bit?
Boy, I don't know. I don't know if I'm that good, but you sure.
All right, excellent. Can you think of one of the 8 oldest tabletop games ever invented?
Go.
Oh, hey, congratulations. That is one of them. That is number 6. That was in 2000 BC in ancient China.
Number 1 is older than that?
The 6th oldest. Yeah, 1 is oldest. You want to try for something older?
I don't know of anything that's older than that.
I was surprised to see checkers at number 2, the second oldest game, 3,000. It's on my list. I'm trusting the internet here.
What's this from? Wikipedia?
This is from ilieaboutboardgames.com. I don't.
It sounds credible.
It sounded reliable.
It sounds credible.
Yeah. No, actually, I went to another dimension and I watched this really cool Talk Punch board game channel, and they talked about it. It was great. No, yeah, apparently in ancient Mesopotamia, or what we would consider to be modern day Iraq.
Because I know chess is only a couple hundred years old.
According to my sources, 600 AD in India or possibly China. Chess.
Okay. Is that on the list?
That's on the list. That's number 8. So,
well, I've got 6 and 8. And
I gave you 2 as a freebie. So, there's only one other one on here that I'm like super familiar with. Number 1, I never heard of, and that's probably on me. I think I've known it as a different name, maybe. But what is it?
War?
No, I'm not sure what. You know what? I'm gonna look up. When was a deck of cards invented? But
I don't know.
So there's the game that we have to try because the name sounds like the most fun.
Okay.
It is. Are you familiar with Nine Men's Morris?
No, I'm not.
But you are a Saved by the Bell fan, correct? Fun fact: they named the character Zach Morris after Nine Men's Morris, the 1400 BC game, possibly ancient Egypt origin. So it's also got some other names: Nine Man Morris or Mills, the Mill Game, Merrills or Merrills, or Cowboy Checkers. So
interesting.
Just throwing that out there. Nine Men's Morris.
Now I know they've discovered board games in like Egypt and things like that, but I don't know if I could name anything that is. Well, I always thought that Go, and that's kind of what they've said and marketed a little bit.
Sure.
It's like Go is like the oldest
I think that's
board
probably...
game, around. So what is number 1?
If you'd like to know more of the list, Senate or Senat, or it's SENET, or Sanet. I think some people pronounce it SANET. So and that is an old Egyptian game. So
I'm not a good board gamer.
Backgammon was also on the list. So if you that's a great game. So
Mancala.
As long as we're talking about games we love.
Is Mancala an old one?
Not on this list. And by the way, cards around 1000 AD believed to be entering into the picture. But possibly before then. It's hard to say for sure. The Royal Game of Ur.
I think I've actually heard of Ur.
Okay. So, anyway, that's number 5. So I think that rounds out the list. Mehen. I'm not sure how to pronounce some of these, so I apologize in advance. If you are an aficionado of some of these ancient games, please let us know below how badly I've butchered backgammon, how badly I've butchered some of the pronunciation. So there you go. But that's your list, bro. So good job.
There we go.
All right, one last trivia. There's more modern.
Okay,
you with me?
All right.
We're gonna and this will launch us into what we're gonna talk about. Rank for me in order from oldest to newest these following board games. Okay. You ready?
Okay.
Scrabble, Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, Sorry, and Monopoly.
Now, when you say Monopoly, does that include the landlord game?
It's just Monopoly. Monopoly, Brody.
But Monopoly as Monopoly?
I'm gonna say Monopoly as Monopoly, and say that I'm also a little offended by this conversation.
Well, because I know the landlord game was
just to answer the question. Quit your stalling. Rank the 5 in order. I don't remember what you remember them? Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, Monopoly, Sorry, and Scrabble.
Oh, God.
What's the oldest?
Monopoly.
Incorrect.
Chutes and Ladders.
Incorrect.
It's not
Man, I really shouldn't have talked up your board game knowledge. Incorrect.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, it's not Candyland, but you said it out loud, so I'm counting it.
It's not Scrabble. Scrabble's newer.
It's not Scrabble. You're incorrect. It's the last one, the only one you haven't said yet. Sorry, 1934.
1934. Now, see, I think that the landlord game came out before that.
Well, is Landlord called Monopoly?
It was the first version of Monopoly.
I have Monopoly as spelled Monopoly, and I have that debuting in 1935, 1 year after Sorry.
So 1906 was the Landlord game, which was
Yeah, but that's not
developed as the
Monopoly.
Landlord game, and then
But that's not
and
Monopoly.
it was created by this woman, and then this
And Parker
they
Brothers ripped her off. Parker Brothers, there's some shady business with them brothers.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And they
you want to go down a dark road, look up at the Parker Brothers.
She tried to sell it, and people said no one would play this. and then she sold it to a man, and then the man went and sold it, and they were like, yeah, totally. And then he relabeled it as Monopoly. So
yeah, in 1935,
I was true. I was good if you counted the Landlord game, which I was, because I knew that was super early.
Now I was surprised. I didn't know Chutes and Ladders was 43. So that was
I knew that
I was a little older.
Early. That is a horrible game. That is the worst.
You get Scrabble, Scrabble at 48, and then Candyland at 49. So Candyland is the most recent of that list, and that concludes our put Brody on the spot for board game age trivia. I think you did pretty good.
That's great content.
He's
people are like,
he's a tabletop genius.
I came here for movies. What are you guys talking about?
No, they came here to watch you do a little board game trivia. That's what's what.
So, Charlie, you and I, we both enjoy board games.
We do.
You and I used to play board games, golly, 25 years ago. We were playing board games together.
Oof. Yeah.
And so we thought, just as a little change of pace, let's kind of have a conversation about board games, kind of like what we did with the video games, just kind of like, these are some of the games that we played when we were young. These are some stuff we enjoyed as kids. Now we're adults. Board gaming is kind of going through like a renaissance right now. They've kind of picked back up. Yeah. I would say within the past 10 years or something like that. They've gotten very popular again. Just go look at Kickstarter. But we thought, let's have a fun conversation about board games.
Let's. So you hated Chutes and Ladders even as a kid? Or do you just hate it now as an adult?
I hate it now as an adult. We have the little like Marvel characters, Chutes and Ladders, and that game, it is horrible. I try to avoid playing that game because it's.
Do your kids get upset? Do they get mad on the shoots?
That game is never ending, and there's no. You get all the way to the top, and then you hit that slide, and you go all the way to the bottom, and you're just like, oh gosh,
it's just like life, man.
Please let this end. Oh gosh. So no, I'm not a Chutes and Ladders fan.
Fair enough. Well, what did you play when you were a kid? What did you play, man? What were your go-to games?
So when I was young, I remember we played a lot of Clue. I still have my Clue Master Detective game that is very old at this point. The box is like falling apart. But really enjoyed Clue, enjoyed Uno, enjoyed. I used to play the game of Life with my older sister, and she would get so into it. She would take the little people and she would chop them in half so that when you had kids, those were the kids, so that they were smaller in the back of the van. And then you had to name your kids. And then every payday was another birthday. And I think some of the kids were a little bit taller, so they would grow as you went through life. It was very involved, like way more involved than Life is.
Well, I think the kids are small now.
Are they?
So I don't know if she should get like some kind of royalty for that, but yeah, I think we might even get pets now. I mean, like the game is. It's wild.
I haven't played Life in a long, long time.
You don't ever sit down to play that horribly frustrating game with your children?
No. No.
My boys have tried to play that with friends and have yet to finish a game. And so they'll be like, hey, we're going to play Life. And so now there's a rule that's just like, you can't. Like there was one point where it's like the fifth time pulling it out. And it was like, hey, if you guys finish this game, you can play Life anytime you want. But if you guys quit halfway through after I finish, you got to fasten all the pieces, and like the set. It's not like it's not like a quick and easy set.
Yeah,
like,
you got all the mountains.
We're putting it away. And sure enough, like 10 minutes into the game, like, yeah, it's boring. We're out. And I'm like, all right, that's it.
Yeah, you're done.
Life's over.
I remember playing Risk with my older sister.
Yes.
Just especially as like a 9-year-old, the setup was just never, you spend an hour setting things up, and then at that point you're like, what is this game? Like, is this I don't know what I'm getting into. But yeah, so Risk, and then things like checkers.
Sure.
I learned chess when I was I want to say I was about 12 when I learned chess. So
yeah, there's like that new Netflix show that's loosely based on your life, right? This
which one?
About your experience as a chess player. Yeah, right.
The Brody's Gambit.
Check it out. Yes, that's the one.
So we played a lot of games growing up. I think that was something that me and my older sister and younger sister would play a lot. My mom would get in some, but I've always really enjoyed board games. So it's something that has stuck with me, and it's kind of ebbed and flowed, and kind of gone down at some points in my life, and I'm not really playing as much, and then it kind of takes back up, and I buy way too many board games. But yeah, I've always enjoyed board games, and it's always kind of been there for me. So how about you, Charlie? What's your kind of early days of board gaming like?
Well, I thought yours would be more interesting because I don't have a recollection of playing a lot of games as a kid. My parents didn't play a lot of board games or with us. I do remember learning hearts and like spades.
Okay.
When I was like maybe in 6th grade, but then no one would play with me. So
you could have gone to like the nice, old folks' home and played. I mean,
hey, you joke, but I would have loved that back in the day. It was like, come on, someone play some hearts with me, play some spades with me. And then of course, we had the technology came that I could play those games with like my cell phone. And that was what a glorious day where I didn't need friends anymore. I could just play spades and hearts to my heart's content. But I guess I played Monopoly a lot by myself. So you have a story where your sister seems like she's a little weird. Most of my stories are just me being weird. I would set up like during the summertime, I'd set up a Monopoly game and I just leave it up and I would just slowly play it by myself with multiple characters over a period of time. And then it got to a point where that wasn't like enough. So I would set up 2 boards in a figure 8 position. So you would kind of go around one and then straight into the other and then around, and then you had multiple pieces, and some pieces, they were from different types of Monopoly. So you could only buy from the type of board you were on. And there was a bunch of rules that I had made up. It was lonely times, bro.
You didn't play with
a lot of
sisters?
solitaire cards. My older sister played a little bit of Risk with me when I was younger. And then if she lost, it was pieces flying around or long speeches about the evils of war. And so we didn't play a lot of games. But my little sister, she was 6 years younger than me, so I think by the time she was old enough to like play games, I was more into sports and video games and things. We didn't play like a ton of games together at that age. We came back around. There's happy endings to all my I'm a loser stories. Here I got a friend 500 miles away. I got one friend. It's awesome. But yeah, I have more games that we can get into as I get a little bit older. But I probably Monopoly is one that I played the most as a kid, even though it was mostly just alone in my room.
And now Monopoly. So when you and I were living together, somehow, because there's Monopoly everything. There's Simpsons Monopoly and Marvel Monopoly and X-Men Monopoly.
Got it.
DC and
got it.
Everything.
Yep.
Baseball. And so you and I would buy, I think I bought you X-Men Monopoly back a long time ago.
That was a good one.
It was a good one. And we would kind of buy these, and somehow it got out that you had all these monopolies and you were collecting Monopolies. I don't think you ever said, "I'm collecting Monopolies."
No, I did not.
And I just think of the nightmare of every birthday that you had, and every single you'd have 20 people show up, and they would all have a different Monopoly. And it got to the point where it was like the knockoff Monopolies of like
Yeah.
Dogopoly. That's not a real
Yeah.
Monopoly. And they would just show and but Charlie's collecting Monopolies. There were so many Monopoly boards in your house, just stacks of these things.
Yeah, it's bad. And that's the kind of thing that sounds a bit of like an exaggeration, but I to this day, I've got like a closet that's just, it's just full of Monopolies, these different Monopolies. And that's the ones that I got rid of some, and then some are in my attic. It's an obscene amount of Monopoly. It's more Monopoly than even as a young lonely child. It's more Monopoly than I could ever just play by myself. Yeah, and some of the versions are so bad. I've got like San Francisco-opoly. I don't know, what am I doing with that? I got Monopoly from it's really sweet gestures, by the way. So I don't want to sound ungrateful. You know,
sure,
like
sure.
Go to Europe and come back with like a European Monopoly. That like there's some that are really sweet and thoughtful, and obviously some fandoms that just I really love. But yeah, I got some weird ones. The Dogopoly is pretty bad. And then Brody made me a Charlieopoly, which was
Charlie.
Really
I was going to bring up Charlieopoly, which
I still have that.
I was pretty proud of that. Boy, that because you have to print all of these stickers, and it took up so much ink. It's probably the most expensive Monopoly you have after you factor in all the ink that was used to print everything. But I had to come up with all of the chance cards and everything. It was a process, but
it was really, that was like a great gift, and I still have that. That is my most treasured opoly. I will say I played a lot of Monopoly Nintendo game. I still have my Monopoly Nintendo cartridge, and I have pulled that out and played that within the last decade more times than I'd like to admit. So I also have it on the PS4, but it got a little too fancy. I like my stripped down Nintendo version. I'm a simple man, bro.
See, and I think I've played Monopoly. You and I used to play Monopoly a lot. Monopoly is a tough game because it's not a great game. It's
not a great game.
It's not, you know, there's and yes, it's kind of become like this joke of sorts with the tabletop gaming on how bad Monopoly is. And you know, you and I used to have fun with it. We would set up 4-board Monopoly and things like that, and just get crazy, and they would go on forever, and we'd play all the house rules. You know, but it's been a while. But I remember the last time I played it, I was just like, oh gosh, you know, it just like it gets to a point after about 30 minutes or so where you're just like, this just isn't fun. It's just, this is not a fun game. I'm not enjoying this. I have no way to win, no matter what I do. I'm just going around.
Hot takes coming in from Brody. Monopoly, bad. Yeah, I know. I haven't played like an actual board game. Look, Monopoly is. I remember playing it with my girlfriend at the time, many moons ago. It was just the two of us. And we're just, I don't know. We're staying in. We're like, hey, let's play. This is before co-op game. We'll talk more about co-op games later, but this is before co-op games were real popular. So we're playing Monopoly, and I'm just crushing her. And and it's not her fault. It's just like it's dice rolling, right?
It's just how you're
just landing on properties, And she keeps landing on my stuff, and she's just getting angrier and angrier, and it's so awkward because it's at a point where I just don't. I want to lose. If I could lose, and she won't trade with me because she's mad at me, and she doesn't want me to let her win, and she won't let us stop. And I'm like, oh, this is, let's just do something else. This isn't fun. She's like, no, we're going to finish this. And like with this intensity in her eyes. And I swear we almost broke up by the end of the game. She was just so mad. And it was like, and it's just like, why are you, she's this angry about it. She's very competitive. And by it was the worst fight that we had. I mean, we didn't end up married or anything. So I guess the breakup was worse, but the breakup was actually more chill than that Monopoly night, because that's the most angry any human being has ever been at me over a board game. And it was so like after that, I put Monopoly away for a long time after that. It took a while to rekindle the
See, I remember on on my honeymoon, we stayed in a place in Hawaii that just had like a bunch of board games, just like in the hut that we were staying in. One of them was Monopoly, so
Right.
Amy and I played Monopoly. And I remember like Amy did something. I landed on something, and she took a whole bunch of money. And I remember I did like a half joking,
Oh, no.
like frustrated, like fist pound on the table, and she went like, and she said like, "Please don't ever do that again."
Maybe playing Monopoly with your significant other is like the IKEA test, where it's going to be miserable, but you gotta find out if your relationship can pass the test of misery.
Yeah, yeah. So I do. Monopoly has a special place. I don't feel the
Sure.
need to like play it.
Play it. You got to try the original NES version, bro. The best version there ever was.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
But I love Risk, and when I was maybe 10 or 11, we had these friends that Fun fact: I used to live in Hawaii when I was young. We moved actually from Hawaii to California when I was about 6, 7, and so we had some friends from Hawaii who would come, family friends who would come visit, and the older. He was a few years older than me. And he brought this game called Shogun, and it was like this crazy, like, have you ever played Axis and Allies? Or it's like Risk on steroids. It's got like all these different kinds of pieces, and the setup is like, it's a commitment. It's like a it takes longer to set up than most games take to play, and you're getting all your pieces. And I just loved it. It was so fun, and it was so great. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy my own version of this, and everyone will play with me all the time. Which was wishful thinking from the boy who played Monopoly often by himself in his room. That A, I was going to have friends over that wanted to play a board game with me, and then B, they were going to want to play the hardest to explain and longest setup game of all time. And fun fact, I did find my old version of Shogun in my attic, and I pulled it out, and I made Amy try it with me. I'm like, Amy, we're going to play this. This is great.
Yeah.
And I'm said, and it became very very apparent very quickly that this was not going to be a great date night. And she's watching me. I'm like a kid in a candy store setting up all these pieces, getting things right. No, you don't understand. And she's just like, let's get this over with. And so we didn't end up, I don't think we ended up playing it much for very long, and probably rightfully so. I think that's probably one of those things that I remember more fondly than actually like the gameplay may or may not hold up as well as I remember it. But did you ever like have an Axis and Allies? I used to get together with people and play that a lot back in the day. I don't remember if you were part of any of those.
I know you and I played some Axis and Allies. I don't think we ever played Shogun. I don't know. You had always talked about it, but I don't think you had it, or you couldn't find it or something like that. But I do remember Axis and Allies. I remember there was like a planetary game that you and I played at some point with a whole bunch of people.
So that was similar to Monopoly. Yeah, that led to some fights too. I remember we were playing that game at our friend Katie's house.
Yes.
And it was like me, one other person, and Katie were the last 3 left. And I was going to win the game.
Was it Bone?
And Katie said, just don't attack me. Just let me stay in the game until it's over.
No, that was me.
The person, and you killed Katie, and then I killed you, and then.
No. I had a tiny planet.
All right, we're gonna air some dirty laundry here. Someone killed you. Okay.
Yeah, I got mad.
And I came to your rescue
because it was all this character elimination stuff, and so it was like, oh, just destroy every person. Like that's the only winning condition.
Right.
Pretty early on, I was not going to win, and I was going to be eliminated. And I was just trying. I was like, I don't have enough stuff to do anything, but I still want to play. I have this planet in the corner of the map. Please just let me keep that planet just so I can keep playing the game with you guys. And then it was either Katie or Bone or someone that came over and just decimated
we had a friend
me.
named the Bone, so that just for clarity's sake.
Yeah, she was the Bone. So
was the bone.
it might have been Katie, and it
Might have been Katie. Could have been the bone. It sounds like something the bone would do.
It's possible.
If we're being honest.
And
she was ruthless, that bone.
I just wanted to play.
Yeah.
And it was
games like that are always weird in a group when like you first of all, they just take a long time to set up. They take a long time to play, and then you get eliminated, and then you just have to sit and watch other people like finish the game. Yeah. Really, just a terrible game. I'm glad we only played that a few times in that setting because, yeah.
And that's kind of the character elimination stuff that Monopoly has too. At some point there's no way to win. You're just going to get decimated, and then you're out, and then the game could go on for another hour. And I get to sit and watch everybody else finish this game that I'm like, I just wanted to play. I just wanted to roll the dice with you guys. I just wanted to play. So it's there was we tried a lot of games. I remember
we did try a lot of games. We played a game called Is the Pope Catholic? That was a weird game. I remember that one. I don't know. We found it like in someone's closet. Anytime we found an old, like crusty looking, what was like that? There was like a talkie feeling one where you're supposed to just like ask questions that are like, it's like a get to know you style game.
Is it the Ungame?
Or it's like, yes, the Ungame.
Oh, that's not a game to play with our group.
With anyone. But it was like a 70s. It was like a stand-up.
Fears and go into this. Yeah, it was
bad. But yeah, I for me, like my gaming renaissance really started with my friend Dave in college. I had a friend named Dave Summers who had cystic fibrosis, and he would have to go into this hospital up in LA for treatment for like 2 weeks at a time. Yeah, and so we played a lot of games at Denny's and stuff like this, card games, board games. We were those,
that'll be the next story. Get through that story, then we can talk about.
We'll come back to that. But so we would go up, and my friend Dave loved spades, which I mentioned earlier. I was like, I finally like real life human beings who love spades, and so we would always play. And Dave and I were always partners, and we'd always play against people who sometimes they liked it, sometimes they didn't. And Dave was always like the most blatant cheater. If you have in spades, you have a partner and you can't see their cards. You don't know what they're doing. And he would always do things. And so like the suits are important. So he'd say something like, after this game, let's go hit the clubs, it's just like some like really like, oh, I wonder what he's talking about. Like, oh, just dropping some diamonds here, and he always and he had this way where he would talk and he would just but he would just say the word, he would just, oh yeah. Oh, look, this room's got, I'm gonna go in the garden and dig with some spades, or something. It's just like real obvious, not subtle at all cheating. But he was just so funny and so fun, and it had such a big personality that like you couldn't be upset at it. It was just entertaining. And we played a lot of like Monopoly there in the hospital. We played a lot of really anything we could get our hands on. We would try to find like the perfect like hospital games.
Yeah.
Because you only had so much space to like maneuver but the card games were like, that was the sweet spot, and we just played spades, and that was a great time. And Dave passed away a while ago now. Geez, maybe 15 years ago. And I still, my oldest son is named after him, and I still miss him to death, and I wish he would get a big kick out of this podcast that we do, and he would be all over me about outing him for his bad cheating. But it was bad. Go hit the clubs.
Yeah, we did play a lot in that hospital room. We did play. I remember a lot of Monopoly. It was just over and over. It was over, and that was the thing with. There's no place else to go. So I had
like 50 versions of it. So like there came a point in my life where I didn't even want to play it, but it's like people had bought me so many versions of Monopoly. Like we're going to I'm going to open up X-Men Monopoly. We're going to play this because I own too many they can't just all be in cellophane.
Yeah. And then we'd finish a game, and then it's just like, okay, set it back up and let's just play again, and just.
Can we talk about Denny's? Can we talk about Denny's a little bit?
Sure. And so back when we were young, every night was a Denny's trip.
Every night.
It was just called Late Night at Denny's was our if YouTube was around at that point, this channel would be called Late Night at Denny's, and it would just be
It
us
would.
doing something at Denny's. We usually had a video camera. There's probably lots of footage out there of
Well, we got lots of footage. Maybe we should
20
put a
over
click
20
the link
years
below.
ago.
Brody will put our best of Denny's.
Over 20 years ago, that was.
Gosh. Yeah, it was that long ago,
But we would show up with just a board game, and we would just set up a board. You know, it's 1 a.m, and we have 6-10 people stroll into Denny's with a board game, and we had this section of Denny's that was closed off to everybody else, and we would just go take it over, and we would just stay for hours.
We would shuffle up like 4 or 5 decks of cards and play War.
Oh,
it'd be like this huge, insane, and it wouldn't end by the time we'd be at Denny's for like 4 or 5 hours and just playing War, and we got to know the staff really well. Got to meet a lot of really great, we got to meet some of the managers and waiters and waitresses, cooks. I think there's actually video footage of Brody taking a tour in the back. Probably we can't ever show that because people might get in trouble.
I know.
Shouldn't have been back there.
Nobody's
just like wandering around the kitchen with like a camera.
Anymore.
Hey, what's going on?
No one's
I don't have a glove or anything
anymore.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. That's a long time ago.
It was over 20 years ago.
Should we digress into like Denny stories, or should we stay on topic?
Oh man, that might be another time. Let us know in the comments. Do you want to just hear stories about us being at Denny's? There's gonna be.
I've got so many good Denny's stories, and they're all really embarrassing and horrifying.
And oh gosh,
I wrote a Denny's musical. At least I started it, and then we kind of stopped going to Denny's as frequently, and my passion for writing it died out. But I could even sing a few bars of the opening number where, hey, we're all at Denny's and life is good. You come to Denny's, your family. I will tell. Can I tell? Nah, you know what? Head wound. Attempted baby napping. Attacked in a bathroom. Throwing up. These are all different stories.
MC
Smacked
Hammer.
in the ear. Parking lot assault.
Chicken
Anyway,
strip.
Lots of good stories. So let us know. Maybe we'll do a whole Denny's episode.
Oh man.
There's some secrets I got to get off my chest here, bro. I think the statute of limitations is passed. I gotta tell some Denny stories. Gotta clear the air.
Yep. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, I think board gaming has really kind of had a renaissance. I think especially in the past 10-15 years.
Yeah.
And so for me, my board gaming, I guess like my modern board gaming kind of picked back up probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
For me, it was, I had kind of my board games in the closet that had some party games. I had a couple like kind of strategy games. But for me, my introduction into kind of the modern board gaming came when Amy and I, it felt like every night, we'd put the kids down and then we'd go and we'd sit and watch a show or something like that. And I was kind of in this place where I was like, but it's nice that we're watching these shows, but I don't feel like we're hanging out. And so I was like, what's something else that we can do after the kids go down? We can't go anywhere because there's kids asleep.
Sure.
So what? Parents. We don't take off after we put the 2-year-old and the 1-year-old down.
They're probably fine.
They're fine. And so at that point, I started thinking about other things we could do, and so I kind of came up. Okay, well, babe, how about some board games? And so I came across. It was I want to say it was like an article on IGN or something like that of board games you should check out. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And in there I found Marvel Legendary. And I was like, oh, comic books, and it's a co-op game, and that's cool. And I looked it up, and I was like, $50 for a board game. Like, what the heck? Like, what is this? It's cards, And Come to find out, that's like a standard price.
What a steal, $50.
And I've spent way more than that on board games now.
They're giving it away.
But that was kind of the intro to that. And it was like, oh man, like there's cooperative games and there's like all these different kinds and there's deck builders and there's this and there's that. And then, you know, eventually it kind of went into, oh, pandemic. And we had another couple that we would play board games with. And you know, I was buying all these games and I kept buying. And I've got a lot now, you know, even to the point where like, I had a game show up like, oh, it was about 2 months ago. And I opened it up. I was really excited for it because I got a good deal on it. And Amy was like, I think you're obsessed. and I got really sad. And I was like, oh. But we've got all these games now. And it's nice because it's, you know, I love video games. But a video game kind of has a lifespan a lot of times with the console that it's on, and you can backward compatible and things like that they're starting to do. But a board game, you can hang on to a board game for years and years and years, and so it's a little more justifiable to my own, for me, because I'm like, oh well, I can buy a game, and like this is a game that I could play with my kids when they get older and things like that.
Sure.
You know, and I've even ventured into like the Mansions of Madness and Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle Earth. That's like the app supported. And yes, there's an argument where it's like, okay, well, at some point that app is not going to be supported anymore. And then the game is useless and whatnot. But being able to enjoy those now and having the campaign games and having all these different things, I'm big into board games. I got people come over and they see this shelf of board games and they're like, that's a lot of board games.
It's impressive. I feel like this right now, you should insert a picture of all your board games. Did you do it?
You're gonna make
Did you do it?
Edit?
In editing? Yeah. Drop it in right now.
We'll see. I've got board games in multiple places though.
We'll put them all in one place. I want a big pile of games in the middle of the room.
My shelf isn't big enough.
Doing
My shelf isn't big enough.
Board game angels. All over the floor, and I want you just lying in the middle of it like you're making snow angels.
No, because then I got to put them all back. It's too much, Charlie. That's too much.
The kids will put them back. That's why you have kids.
No, I don't want the kids.
That's the upshot.
Back. They're nice and lined up by size, Charlie. Come on.
All right. What about like one of those like Yo MTV Cribs, and you can just kind of show people like a little 5-minute extra video where you're just like walking through and showing everyone your board games.
Yo, there's
make that
board games over there. I don't know.
Look at all these games.
We'll see. Maybe I'll do like a separate little video of like the board game collection.
There's so many games. Lots of games.
I have games that I bought years ago that I haven't opened yet.
Yeah, that's the shame of it all, bro. When they see these unopened, unplayed, lonely games. Play me, sir. Will you please play me? I'm just a lonely game.
Yeah. So there's a lot of games, and so
a lot of games.
Yeah. So how about you and kind of the modern board games beyond Monopoly?
I love getting games like Ticket to Ride and some of these other games on my iPad for like air travel. That was like a big modern innovation where I could buy like a $5 app instead of like a $30 to $50 board version. And I always had people to play it with. This might be the most I'm a loser one of these that we've done. I do actually have friends. I just can't see them right now because of pandemic and stuff. No, they're just out of frame. They're all laughing with me. But Amy and I like to play the co-op games like Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, things like that. We like everybody, like the Cards Against Humanities and the Cyanide and Happiness had a version of that, like the Apples to Apple style.
Sure.
Those were really fun for a little while, and Amy and I actually made our own cards during our courtship. It was kind of fun to see that Amy was really in our pairing the one who had the more devious mind, which when you meet her, she's so sweet and she's got her glasses. She's like Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, it's me, Amy. I'm a very nice person. No, she sounds more
I unzipped it and there was a calculator there.
It's her. She's got like a anyway.
I can't wait
that's
for
more.
her to watch
That's more.
this.
Hey, that is a spot on impression. And Amy, if you're watching this, you know it. And Amy, if your parents are watching this, your daughter is gorgeous, beautiful, and is in no way someone with a deviant mind. And she sounds so beautiful when she talks. It doesn't sound anything like the impression that I just did. It does. Spot on.
So anyway, she'd say, she's very sweet.
And then all of a sudden, we're putting blue painter's tape over like boring ones, and she's writing these like things that I cannot repeat here, or we would be getting a whole different channel rating. And that was a lot of fun. That was we had a lot of fun doing that together, and that was a cool little way to personalize that game. But we got into we play a lot of the code names is fun. It's a very harmless game. I like the fancier like Decrypto is a lot of fun. We got into Amy and I played some of those like the exit games, like the the escape room kind of 2-player board. That was a trip. I know you guys introduced us to those, and it's weird like tearing those really nice looking cards and like just knowing you're only playing this game once and disposing of it, but it looks so nice and fancy. That was a trip. But they are a lot of fun. If you're looking for a nice date night with your special someone, in the pandemic, don't want to can't go outside. Exit games, a lot of fun. Like about $8 to $10 a game. That's like a nice little date night.
10 to 15 or so.
You can find them on sale. Get yourself a nice one, and you stay in, and it's basically like an escape room in your house. They're a lot of fun. We like the co-op stuff just because like the big group stuff is a lot of fun, and we'll play the big group party games when we're in a party. We love Uno. Can I be honest with you? Probably we still go to Denny's and play Uno, except now that there's a pandemic. There'll be like 5 or 6 of us that'll go, and we'll we used to, after softball or after volleyball, go sports leagues. We go out, we play some cards at Denny's still. It's not the same without the video camera and without all the shenanigans. But we still have fun. But and with the kids, we have a lot of these like slap games, taco, cat, goat, cheese, pizza. We got some new ones for Christmas that we're a game where we get to hit each other with a club. Time someone says 2 syllables instead of 1 syllable. We had some fun games, like telestrations and things like that. The drawing.
Oh, telestrations.
Some of these kind of fun games we play with the kids. But we play, probably the game we play the most with the kids is Uno. We'll pull out our Mario Uno or Simpsons Uno, and we'll play a few rounds of that. We had our drinking Jenga game was a lot of fun. Where you're kind of pulling out each piece you pulled out, and there'd be like some kind of like instruction there. And when I say drinking, of course, I just mean coffee and things like that. So. Sorry, Amy's parents are probably watching. Shout out to Jeff and Jody. How you guys doing? There are only subscribers.
Yeah, probably. So party games, co-op games. Is there a game in particular that stands out as like kind of a favorite right now?
It's a weird time right now, just because we're just we're not getting together with people, so we're just not really playing. Uno is probably the one that's like our favorite, but like the Taco Cat goat cheese pizza was like just hilarious and still pretty fun. My watching the kids try to do like narwhal, and they're you have to like pound on the ground, and then you have to like hit yourself in the face, and they're like boom, and kind of they'll whap each other. Or the gorilla or whatever, groundhog. That's probably the one we laugh the most at right now. I'm not an aficionado, so I look. This is like Brody's over here talking about like home brewed or like micro brewed IPAs and like the level of hops and the ingredients, and I'm like, whoa, Coors Light, man! This stuff's awesome. I like code names, yeah.
I love code names. I love code names. Code names is great.
It's okay. Hey, everybody likes a Coors Light every now and then, bro. But you're
not everybody.
You're
not everybody.
Amy and I got some deck builder games that we tried, and we just they're complicated. And so like, we'll have some friends over, and we'll try name some. I forgot the name. I will find out the name. You talk and I'll remember it. Okay. There's something with ghosts, I think.
Ghost Stories?
Is that the one where you have 4 players, and then you do
That
things,
sure narrows it down, Charlie.
and then they die and they turn to ghosts, and then you have to bring them back to life?
Ghost Stories.
Could be Ghost
You're
Stories.
fighting a bunch of ghosts. I know because you and I talked about Ghost Stories, and I
Okay,
talked
it's
about
probably
how,
Ghost Stories. It's
how
probably what I'm
hard it
thinking of.
is, and you were like, "You haven't played with me."
Yeah, Amy and I loved it, and we played it, and it was a lot of fun. And then we tried to get other people to love it, and it was a no-go. It was a non-starter. So we've never been able to successfully play that with other human beings.
Okay.
You know, we've had fun playing that with just the 2 of us, but there's only so much fun that, you know, anyway, it's a lot of setup. It's a lot of,
Sure.
you know, and there is an app version that I actually own that I played on airplanes and stuff. If you can just buy the $5 app, just do it.
So one thing that we got into was legacy games. We haven't dug too deep.
Pandemic is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Pandemic Legacy. I really like it. It stresses Amy out a lot.
That's fun.
And so we are actually still going through Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I own Pandemic Legacy Season 2, but we need to get through Season 1. And I've been looking at Season 0, but we haven't even started Pandemic Legacy Season 2 yet. So
Brody wouldn't even let us play that with him when we visited because he didn't want us to screw it up. I'm excellent at Pandemic, and so is Amy.
That's actually true.
Crushed that.
Because
we wouldn't have screwed it up. We're so good.
You know, you're putting stickers on the board, you're tearing up cards. Everything that you do can affect the rest of the game, like the rest of the campaign. So because you play between 12 and 24 times, and then the game is over because you've altered the game.
Sure.
And you know, yes, some people have said like, you should be able to keep a game forever, and that's fine. Most of my games I can do that, but
Yeah.
it is fun to have the legacy games where you are doing that. And yes, I'm only going to play it between 12 and 24 times, but honestly, there's a lot of games that I own that I could keep forever that I am nowhere near playing 24 times.
Double digit, yeah.
You know, and that's so those have been. It's crazy, the legacy games, and they're so much fun. I really recommend them if you can get past like tearing up a card. You know,
it's weird.
A character dying and that character is just gone.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, my friends and I have played some of the legacy, but we just jumped because they'd started without us, and we would come over a few times, and we would just jump in with their group, and like the first 2 times we just crushed it, and we're like, oh, this is great, and then like I think the third time, you know, it was our first fail experience, and they had played like a whole other season before us, so they had already gone through it, but yeah, it was like a weird, like, no,
yeah.
We need to go back in time and fix it. No. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more stressful. You know, there's you know, stakes, right? So
there are. And so legacy games have been a favorite of mine. I'm really enjoying them. I honestly I can't say that Amy has, because they just stress her out. But then also campaign
with you,
games.
Amy. I can understand that.
And so I mentioned, you know, the Manchester Madness second edition.
It's a fun game.
And the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle Earth, very similar games, you know, where it's a big, huge, you know, it's like the box is like that tall. I actually just this past weekend built a custom insert for my Lord of the Rings game so that I can easily like have the cards in and like pull them out and trays and all the stuff for the minis. But those are so much fun. We have and because it's app, you know, the app generates all this stuff, and so you're playing through, and so the app is telling you where the map pieces go, and it tells you what happens, and manages the items and manages the bad guys and all this stuff. Where there were these games before, there was things like Imperial Assault, the Star Wars Imperial Assault, where you had a person that was managing, that tile and managing the bad guy, and it was kind of this one versus all. And then Fantasy Flight, the company, said like, oh, we could have like an app do that. And so having that has been a lot of fun. And so we can have our neighbors over and we can have a campaign going where we select our people, and you can buy DLC, and they can put, the company can put out new campaigns that you can go through, that you can pay like $10, $15, get a whole new campaign with all these different scenarios and things like that.
Yeah.
That's been a lot of fun. I just had over Thanksgiving, we had family in town, and we had my brothers-in-law and I were playing a campaign, and we played, God, it was like 10 hours of the Lord of the Rings game. And we just sat there, like we had like pizza get delivered, and we're just sitting there like playing through this Lord of the Rings, and it was so much fun.
Still shorter than the movies, by the way.
True. Yeah. But those, I'm really enjoying those, and it's fun to get the minis. I really want to get into painting my miniatures. That's like a whole new level of like taking my board games to the next level. It's painting those
there
minis. Painting those minis.
Paint those minis.
I really want to do it. I got to do it. I got to get like
do it. You have to do it.
Got to get the right paints, and got to find some time.
Make it happen
to do it. But those have been great. And then also just party games. We when we had family over for Thanksgiving, we were playing Deception Murder in Hong Kong. We were playing Just One. The games where you can get 10, up to 10 people. I think we had like 5 or 6 or something like that. But having that option of having a whole bunch of people. We played Telestrations. I have the 12-person Telestrations, in the past before COVID, and we could have like a whole bunch of people around and be able to have those types of group games going is so much fun. And so those are great. And then even the kids stuff and having the games with the kids, Ghost Fight and Treasure Hunters is a really good one that my kids love to play. Stuffed Fables is one that it's kind of a story.
Are you sure you're not just making up games? Like,
no, man.
And Mushroom Stomp Down is like an awesome game, and so
these games
then you got
great.
like Pillow Fluff and
Stuffed Fables. You have like these characters, and the game board is a book, and so you open up the book, and it opens up to a new map, and it tells you the story that you're going through. It tells you the objectives. Oh man, it's so good, and my kids really enjoy it, and so it's been a fun thing for us to do with the kids, even where we're interacting with them and doing stuff like that with them. It's great. Yeah,
you see Brody's opening up these big Fable books and playing these spiraling 12-hour games. We're over here slapping tacos and beating our chests. A bunch of cavemen over here hitting each other with clubs. Oh, this is a game where we get to like do some kind of punishment to each other. Awesome. Let's do this.
I'm sure my kids would love that too. So I haven't heard of
I'm going to buy you the pie in the face game. I'm going to get you that.
I don't need a pie. I don't need more whipped cream in the face, Charlie. I think we've actually told that story already. But...
Can I tell 2 quick stories here, bro? And then we get back to
sure.
you because So I did remember a time where someone got more angry at me than the girl who we almost broke up over Monopoly.
Okay.
And it was a game of Uno with the aforementioned Bone.
Oh, Bone.
We were
yes.
And we were playing, and she had 1 card left, and I yelled Uno. And she had to take more cards, but she claimed that she had said Uno, but I was just too loud.
And that you were louder.
No one had heard her. And she got so mad, she grabbed her keys and she threw them
at your face.
She's so mad. She got me good. That didn't feel good. That hurt.
I want to say,
she stormed out. There was doors slamming. Oh, man.
That was one of the first couple times that I was over at your house that happened. and I remember that, how mad she was. And I was kind of like,
she was so mad.
I was like, oh my goodness, like what's happening right now? Yeah, that was, I remember
that was crazy.
that a lot.
Yeah, that was wild. And then the most mad I've seen somebody playing a silly game. There was this gentleman named E.G., and he was demonstrating how to play Mad Gab, which is a game where you're kind of like sounding out words.
Sure.
And he's sitting there in front of this room full of people, and he's trying to, and he's playing the game with his wife, and he's just reading this card over and over again, going motorcycle, motorcycle, and just repeating it over and over again. Everyone's just laughing because everyone can clearly say he's saying motorcycle, and it's like, I don't know what it is. And he's getting red, and he just keeps motorcycle, and then eventually he just storms out of the room and just leaves. And it was so surreal because it's just
never to be heard from again.
Motorcycle. Yeah, that was like one of the last times I did ever see him. But motorcycle, and it's all just whenever we have that game in the closet, and whenever I pull it out, I can't help. I just motorcycle is all I can think about. Like 15 years later, and I can still just hear him perfectly articulating, basically just saying the word motorcycle and just getting angrier and angrier. Motorcycle! I don't know what the word is. Motorcycle! and just storming out. They got divorced. So board games can end. No, I probably had nothing to do with the game, but I mean,
probably less to do with the game. But
come on, he couldn't say motorcycle. Come on, that was fun. That was board games are something. Amy's family introduced me to Hand and Foot. I don't know if you ever played Hand and Foot. It's a card game, multiple decks. You should Google it. It's a lot of fun to play. Very low key. Kids can play it. It's a little bit of canasta.
Okay.
Yes, Brody. I play card games like I'm in a retirement home. And if I could only play one game, if I was like on death row and they're like, you get one last game, I would pick spades and I would love it. And I would eat some Werther's original candy, some kind of hard candy, and drink my coffee, playing my spade.
I'm glad you enjoy spades, Charlie.
No apologies. All right, tell us about some cooler board games. All right, go on with your Stuffed Fables.
Yeah, Stuffed Fables are great.
Recommend some to the people. What are some? Okay, people are home right now. They're stuck. It's quarantine. Give us some games we can play. Come on.
Okay. Well, actually, Charlie, I know you're aware of Kickstarter. Have you ever kickstarted a game before?
I have not. Is that a life experience that I'm missing out on?
I don't know if it's a life experience. It's fun.
I have a game on Kickstarter. Does that count?
You have
zero support so far. Oh, it's a great game.
Sounds like it was zero support.
Yeah, we'll do a whole broadcast of that. It's not as fun as that game that you made up, the touchy game, but it's good.
Yeah, touche, touchy. I don't know whatever happened to that. I don't know.
I think our friend Hot Rod still has it. That's right. We have a friend named The Bone and a friend named Hot Rod.
Yeah, we do.
She might have given it to our other friend Cobb, but whatever.
Oh. So she gave it to us and then she took it back? Is it just because I called it touchy instead of touche?
I think so. That might be the most mad I've ever seen anyone after giving someone else a game.
Well, it was me and another guy who were living together. She gives us a game called Touche. So of course she gives two dudes a game called Touchy. We thought it was funny. I don't know. Sorry,
she did not share your opinion.
Sorry,
yeah, Hot Rod. She's definitely watching this. Hot Rod, apologies for that. Yeah. Poor Hot Rod. Hot Rod. We had some moments with Hot Rod in the game of True Colors. That's a game that in the wrong company, people get real mad at that. And rightfully so. That game's like,
that was which
game. Player here is other car is a broom, or who's a player here you'd like to.
Bone got nominated for that one. She wasn't even in the game. We had to call her and let her know that she won that round.
Poor Bone. No wonder she threw keys at us. Come on, poor Bone.
Oh, poor Bone. Yeah. What other games? Okay, so Kickstarter. So I've backed a couple games on Kickstarter.
Yeah, you have.
So there was about 2 years ago now, there was a Batman game that came onto Kickstarter. Batman Gotham City Chronicles. This was the most expensive game I've ever bought. it came in this gigantic box. It's got all of these minis. It's like a full shelf of my board game shelf. And Amy and I just played it for the first time last night because it's like the setup and it's complicated and the rule book is not very well written. They're actually coming out with they actually hired a new company to come out with a revised rule book because so many people
Smart.
are complaining about the rule book. But it's
So what's the verdict? What's the verdict?
It's really nice. I don't think we played it correctly. I think Amy won in the first round.
That sounds about right.
And about 3 rounds in, she was like, I think I already won. And so I think we played one more round and I was like, I don't know. We need to read more. I need to watch a video or something like that. But I bought other games on Kickstarter, not as big, just smaller games. And that's fun. I actually have one coming in
Checking his invoice.
This week coming in.
This week.
So that's fun. And that's kind of a new way for board games to get out there. What were you going to say?
Oh, is that a co-op game or it's competitive? Is 2 players fun in a game like that? Do you need more people?
The Batman game?
Yeah, to get more out of that.
It's a 1 versus everybody else, and so the everybody else, I was controlling 3 characters. So gotcha. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Heart to heart, people out there, in these trying times, I strongly recommend co-op gaming with your significant other, and less competitive gaming. Tempers may be high, tension maybe high, maybe your Zoom, maybe the Zoom classes for the kids, maybe you're homeschooling, maybe there's a little extra pressure, maybe money's a little tighter. Maybe that's not the time to bust out the Monopoly and go one-on-one with the spouse. Now is the time for cooperative gaming. I would recommend. I love the Forbidden Desert, Forbidden Island. The Forbidden series is a lot of fun. There is a co-op version of Codenames that's pretty fun.
I actually have my board game calendar where every week you got to log all the board games. Calendar? And so that's why we played the Batman game, because there's a challenge for every week. So it says, this week, play the most expensive game in your collection. And so Amy was like, we're going to do it. We're going to play Batman. And I said,
"Aw, she's awesome."
So
you're brave, man. You're very brave. It's a big undertaking. All right, what are some of your favorite co-op games? Give us some co-op games, bro.
Oh, Pandemic is a lot of fun for a co-op.
Pandemic is a lot of fun. I'll co-sign that. Even during a pandemic is still good.
Marvel Legendary, like the game that kind of started all this modern stuff.
Is that a deck builder?
It is a deck builder. Yeah, there's a lot of cards to it, and a lot of expansions. I have that game. I actually have that game split up into 2 boxes because it got so big because I was buying expansions. But it's really fun. We were setting it up to play with the kids the other day, and it just got too late in the day, and we were kind of like, okay, we got to put this on hold. But we're really excited to play that with the kids. It's superheroes. You're building a team. You have a scenario. You're fighting the bad guys. You're trying to as you're going, you're recruiting new heroes into your deck. So that way when you're playing your deck, you're putting down more powerful heroes and trying to defeat the mastermind and stuff like that. So that's a lot of fun, and that's a co-op game. The Lord of the Rings and Mansion of the Madness are co-op games. What other co-op games do I have?
Ghost Stories is co-op.
Ghost Stories is co-op. I don't have Ghost Stories, but
oh, you don't? Oh, I have a game you don't have. I mean, it's bad. I feel like that's a bad thing.
I just don't have it.
You heard it, folks. If I own it and he doesn't, don't buy it.
It's not true. I heard it was good. They just re-released it under a different theme, I believe.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. It's a good game.
So, but yeah, co-op, and it's neat that you can have a tabletop game, a board game that's co-op nowadays. Yeah, it makes it for a nice a nice kind of change, and it's easier to kind of bring people in. You know, when we have neighbors over or something like that, it's easy to be like, okay, we're going to play a game, and it's co-op, so we're all working together. So have your cards out and have them face up so that we can all see and we can help you through it and things like that. And so that's
they're like great gateway games for people who aren't like into board games. We've had a lot of, I don't know if success is the right word, but we've had a lot of fun with friends who, like, you can tell by some of my answers, we don't have neighbors that play board games. We don't have a lot of friends who are like board game I almost said nerds. But I feel like that, like, look, I'm a nerd for so many different things, and I don't use that term as like a negative, but that's me and not the world. So let's just say board game aficionados. So, you know, when we play games, it's more like party games and simple games, but the co-op games is a nice way, because if it, you know, some of these games are like Pandemic, that's like a little bit more complicated. You know, they don't feel like you're just steamrolling them. Like, oh, hey, here's this really complicated game. I'm going to totally defeat you really easily. It's going to be a lot of fun, you know? And then it's like, oh, okay, great. That was a great hour of me kicking your butt. Woohoo. You know,
you're ready to play again.
Yeah, let's do it again. Come on. It took an hour to set up, and then I whooped you for a while, and then now we're ready to go.
Or do you want to play a totally different game that I'm going to have to explain all that all over again to you?
Yeah. Oh, and it's like, did I not mention that rule that I just, you know, for that thing that I just did that totally screwed you? Huh, yeah. My bad. You know, so it's nice to the co-op stuff is very friendly to get people to play games that maybe aren't as like board game crazy.
Absolutely. I love the co-op games. They're great. And Amy really likes them. So normally if we're going to sit down and play a game, unless it's like a new game that I'm like, hey, I really want to try this out. She's normally like, hey, let's play a game. Let's play a co-op game. Chronicles of Crime. That's a great one.
That's a fun one.
And that one we played with you guys when you guys came up.
Yeah, we enjoyed that.
It was a lot of fun. And they keep coming out with stuff like that. There's another one that I kickstarted. They just came out with like a sequel to Chronicles of Crime, and so I was on the Kickstarter.
If you ever play that and you enjoy it, make sure to thank Brody, because he funded the entire project. So
no, not the entire thing, just a portion of it. Just a portion. So
hey, you did your part. That's all we can ever ask.
So there's board games. It's just a little bit of a different pace for us, kind of something else that we're interested in. I love board games. You love board games. Go buy some board games. Go play some board games. They're great. They're lots of fun.
They are great. And if you have questions, hit us up. Ask Brody. You can ask Brody anything about any game, and he will know the answer. So feel free to, like, my sister calls me and she's like, hey, I'm going to this I gotta like buy a board game for like a white elephant gift exchange thing, you know, it's for you know, anyway, so this guy's got to be a nice game, and I'm sending it over to this gathering. So what do? I get on the horn, I call Brody. I said, Brody, let's break it down. What are we doing here? What's she buying?
Yeah, you guys called, and I was surprised that I was hey Charlie, and then it was your sister, and I was like, oh, hey.
board game question. I take it right to the master. Why you know, when you can go to the filet mignon, you know, why stop over for ground burger? You know, come on, let's get to the good stuff.
They're great. They're great. There's lots of, you know, board game channels out there to watch. I love, you know, things like the Dice Tower and Watch It Played are really some great ones, and that's what helped me get into it, is go watch some reviews. There's a ton out there.
And you can click this link below to watch Brody navigate his house and show you every game that he owns. And that'll be a really exciting video. I look forward to watching that. Fun fact, actually, Brody started growing that beard 20 years ago when we were playing a game of Truth or Dare, and the dare was grow your beard. And there it is. All these years later, still a classic.
Oh, that's not true.
All right, Brody, you're on death row. You get one game. And the time doesn't matter. So I get to play spades for however long the longest game. So you could say Middle Earth because it's 10 hours, but that's not the point. You only get to play one last game. What's your game? With the perfect number of people, they all know how to play. So it's just the quality of the game.
That's a tough question. You know, maybe like a Pandemic Legacy. Do I get to play through the whole campaign?
Nope.
Oh, just one? Oh,
just one, and then you're dead. I mean, like, come on,
I'm dead.
It's death row. You can't pick. You can't pick a. It's gonna take me a year to finish. No. One and done. One and done.
You got to postpone the execution. I got to finish this campaign.
I'm sorry. That was only month 1. I've got 11 more months to go.
A one and done game. Oh, golly. You know what? I'd go with kind of the one that started it, was the Marvel Legendary.
There it is.
So either that or Star Wars Rebellion.
Marvel Legendary.
Or Star Wars Rebellion. That one's really fun too. Maybe Star Wars Rebellion.
Phase 10 is a lot of fun. Phase 10. Galaxy.
Yeah.
I'm
glad you're on phase 9. I'm still on phase 1.
That's a fun game. Do we need to talk about games we hate, or are we wrapping?
I don't know that I have any games that I hate. You know, we kind of touched on like.
You just said I hate Candyland, or no, Chutes and Ladders. I hate Candyland's way worse than Chutes and Ladders, by the way.
No, it's not. No, not at all.
Candyland is like the worst game.
At least Candyland
and creepy.
Ends.
Yeah.
Chutes and Ladders, you get to the top, you're like 3 spaces away, and then you land on a slide.
Fall down the chute. Not everyone lands in the chute, Brody. Someone wins.
Oh, I always land on the chute. Always. Or the snake, depending on which.
Well, you heard it here. Brody loves every game except for Chutes and Ladders. For a comprehensive list of games that I hate, feel free to send me a message, and I will float you a full list of my least favorite games. We don't do enough 10 like least favorite lists. My top 10 games I'll never play.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we need a new list like that. That would be a hard list to do.
That's fair. There's already too much negativity in the world. We'll keep it positive.
So we'll see. Maybe a top 10 board games. I don't know.
That'd be fun.
Let us know in the comments. Would you be interested? Do you like this kind of change of pace? Do you want us to just talk about movies and TV in every episode in a different
Should we become a tabletop game channel?
Should we become a tabletop game channel? Just abandon all the movies? There's no more movies coming out. There's lots of TV for Charlie to watch, but I'm not watching
Love me some TV. Okay. You're watching some of it. You better be.
I did. I watched the documentary the other day. We'll save that for the after show.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for rolling the dice and spending a little time with us. Hopefully, you did not think of this as a Chutes and Ladders experience. Hopefully, you were thinking this more as a joyous co-op game where we all won. That's how I think of it.
I like that analogy, Charlie. That's a good one.
Thank you.
You just come up with that on the top of your head?
I did. Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Like and subscribe.
Leave
us some comments. Just let us know you're out there. Just one.
Please subscribe.
Jody, say hi. Just say hi.
Please subscribe. All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.